Hi guys, how are you? Mine this one Titanium, founder of Investing MMT and co-founder of Pure MMT for the 100%, along with my friend Edward Delzio, the author of The National Debit, a must-have book for anyone who wants to understand the monetary system and who wants to understand macroeconomics. I also run a Patreon page for $5 a month for anyone who wants to come down and join us. I mostly charge $5 to keep the trolls out, and come down. You will learn how to understand MMT better, how the monetary system works in the real world, how to apply that into macroeconomics and to investing, if that is something that interests you. At the very least, you're going to get a broad, basic idea of how the world economy operates today. So today we're going to talk about why Bitcoin can never become a viable currency. Alright, so I set up a very extremely basic economy. It's called Bitcoin Utopia land. Okay, and in this utopian land, we have just, evil government is finally out of the way. We don't need their dollars. We're just going to have a little Bitcoin or a piece of gold or whatever you want to call it, something that's limited. Okay, and we're going to have this wonderful utopia of deflation. And let's see how this plays out. So, we got rid of evil government that's boot stomping everybody. And now we have a functional economy and savings on the right side, which is non-functional economy, right? Because it's just money that's sitting in savings, and it's not being produced, it's not being spent, it's not producing anything, it's not circulating, it's just sitting there as wealth. So our entire economy is with Tom over here, and Tom is producing one chair, and that chair is equal to all the money in the world, which is one Bitcoin or one piece of gold or whatever you want to call it. So that means the chair is equal to one gold coin. So, Tom is pretty happy, but Dick comes along and says, hey, I'm going to work twice as hard, and I'm going to produce two chairs. All right? And Harry comes along and says, hey, I can produce 4 chairs. So there we go. We have Tom, Dick, and Harry. We have Tom producing one chair. Suddenly, Dick comes along and says, fuck it, I'm going to produce 2 of them. I work harder. And then Harry comes along and says, shit, I created a factory, and now I can produce 4 of them. But there's only one coin in the world. You see the problem here? Right? This is what everybody says, oh yeah, but the coin is worth a lot more chairs than it was before. Yes, but each individual chair is worth less and less the more they produce. So let's start over again. Now that you got the concept, let's just remove some of these chairs, and we're going to start seeing how this works. So, in the first case, you had one coin, was worth one chair, and now suddenly, because there's more stuff in the economy, now it's worth less. Okay, so we have to divide that currency into 2. So you can see now that its value is half for each chair. Now, Harry comes along and says, hey, I can produce 2 chairs faster and better. So we bring Harry into the picture. Now what happens? Well, we have to subdivide this now, and somehow this is very good because it's going to make everybody richer. But in fact, it's not. Everything is worth less and less. And that is the problem with the way people that think that Bitcoin is the answer of the future and evil government is gone. Why would anybody want to work more and more to get less and less of dollar or Bitcoins or gold or whatever? That is illogical. So you see, in this system, Tom and Dick want to kill Harry. They're like, fuck this guy, this guy's got to go. We got to get rid of him, so it doesn't, it's just mathematically, it doesn't work. You cannot have 21 million Bitcoins for 7.4 billion people and think that this is going to work as a currency. It's not going to work as a currency. It's never going to work as a currency. Now Harry's like, hey, fuck it. I got more coins, more coin than the rest of the guys do. So you know what? I'm just going to take those coins and put them in savings. And that's it. And now what? Well, now we have to subdivide it again. You see the problem here, right? You got to subdivide it again. And now what? It's getting even worse, and worse, and worse. It doesn't get any better. Okay. And this is why Bitcoin can never be a currency. It's just not logical. The more that Harry saves, the less coin there is available, okay, and the less the economy is just going to collapse. What are you going to do? Just keep subdividing it to infinity? You can do that, right? But how is that different from just printing dollars out of thin air and filling up the functional economy and filling up the savings non-functional economy? You see, this is illogical. This doesn't even make sense. But yet people are running around and saying, "Yeah, Bitcoin is great." Well, why would Tom and Dick can just say, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm not even going to produce any more shares. I'll just sit here and let Harry do all the work." Okay, whatever portion of the Bitcoin or the gold that I have, I'll just sit there and hold on to it. Okay, and just let Harry do all the work. I'm done. I'm finished with this shit. No use, because my Bitcoin, whatever portion of it I have, is going to be worth more and more and more into the future. And then what's going to happen to Harry? Harry's going to say, well, fuck. They saved their Bitcoins. There's no more Bitcoin I can get. So why am I going to produce more and more? What are they, smarter than me? I got more coins than them. So then he stops producing. It's pointless. You see? So now what do you got? You have a failed economy. It's so plain to see. It's so easy to see. So everything that people believe that, oh, it's the gold coin, this is the most important thing in the world, and our currency should be worth more and more each year. Yeah, but that's not the way it works. Okay? Because everything that you think that is holy and wonderful and just, very moralistically correct. Okay, savings is good. Yes, savings. We should save more and produce more. Save and produce. Well, you can't save and produce because you need to consume. Okay, limited amount of money is, that's where the economy is awesome. The less money we have in circulation, the more it's worth, the better it's going to be. Yes, but that doesn't make sense. It's just stupid, because if there's 21 million, let's say at the end of it, 21 million Bitcoins left, okay, the ones that have all the dollars, their worthless fiat paper currency, go out, they buy the vast majority of it, which is the case today, by the way, okay, and then do what? Take that, put it in savings. Now what do you have? Now what do you have? Nothing. So you're going to need someone like Harry, who really needs that Bitcoin, and he's just going to produce his ass off more and more to try to get that one Bitcoin. Just more and more and more and more that he's going to have to produce. And you're sitting there thinking, haha, idiot. That guy is a moron, because I'm sitting here in savings, and every piece of my Bitcoin or whatever, gold or whatever, is worth more and more. Yeah, until it's your turn that you need more Bitcoin, and then you're going to be the sucker in here with all the chairs trying to acquire another Bitcoin by producing more and more and more for less and less and less. You see what I'm saying? Now what are you going to do? Now what? You're screwed. The whole economy does not work. It doesn't work. It never has worked in the past. It never will work in the future. This is all bullshit. It's economic voodoo. So let's now reverse everything, okay? We're just going to take everything and unwind it, and I'm going to show you something that's kind of cool. I'm going to show you how it works in the current fiat monetary system. So let's remove everything. Let's take everything out, and I'm going to get rid of evil government. Evil government is back now, you know. And now we're going to have evil government pumping out fiat paper currency from thin air, right? And now it says, oh, okay, Tom has a chair. It's worth $1. Oh wow, this is great. Dick comes along, is producing another chair. The economy is bigger. Great. So I'll pump in more money. So now what happened? Well, you have $2 in existence. Why? Because each chair is worth $1. And you have two chairs, now you have $2. So you see the economy grew by 50%. It's not deflationary to say, well, the dollar is buying less. No, of course it's not buying less. It is buying exactly what the value of one chair is. Okay? But by the stupid logic of these Bitcoiners, libertarians, nut jobs, well, the government is printing too much money and it's devaluing the currency, man. It's devalued by 50%, man. Because they don't see the other side of the printing, which is the production. Okay? So then Tom, Dick, and Harry now are producing 4 chairs out of this economy. So guess what? The government comes out and prints another $2. Okay? Everybody's happier now because Harry is producing more chairs. The economy's bigger. But again, these libertarian Bitcoin nut jobs, anti-government, I hate fucking government, do what? Yeah, but the currency is devalued by 75%, man. It's going to 0. Yeah, but you have 4 more chairs. You see, the economy has grown. We used to produce 1 chair, now we have 4 chairs. And each chair is valued correctly. And Harry, who is more efficient, can produce more chairs faster, is getting rewarded. Good for him. There's nothing wrong with Harry being rewarded for his labor, for his innovation, because it made everybody richer. Why did it make everybody richer? Because the dollar now is worth a lot more overall than it did when there was just one guy producing 1 chair. You see, it values the currency. So now, what if Harry starts saving money and says, fuck it, I'm going to save some of this money and I'll go out and spend with the other, whatever is remaining. Now what happens? See, immediately you start showing in the economic data that there is less money in circulation. Therefore, each chair is worth less. So what does the government say? Oh, that's not good. It's not what we want. Okay? We want to accurately reflect the size of the economy. So the government starts pumping in more dollars. Okay? And that's the point of it, right? To maintain the value of each. So the more innovative and productive that Harry becomes, the more dollars that the government needs to pump in, okay, to reflect the value, so we never go into this deflationary spiral to 0. Okay? We cannot demonize Harry for being innovative and productive. That's not a bad thing. That's capitalism. And you cannot demonize government for printing more dollars when there's a bigger economy. That's that's stupid. It doesn't even make any sense. But according again to these crazy nut jobs who run around and say, oh, the dollar's devaluing, man. The dollar's devaluing. The government is devaluing the currency. We need Bitcoin. We need sound money. All those idiots, they don't understand what the hell they're talking about. Because when there's more dollars in existence, there's a bigger economy in existence. And that's why when everybody's saying, oh, there's going to be hyperinflation, look, we printed all these dollars, we're hyperinflating. No, you're not hyperinflating. Why? Because there's the equal amount of production being pumped out from this economy. Initially, we had 1 chair. Now we have 6 chairs. Therefore, we have $6. Okay? That's the way it works. That is reality. That is accurate. So let's continue. So, the bad thing that Harry is doing is taking these dollars and pumping them into savings. Because savings, they're not consuming, it's not productive. Okay? It's in the non-functional portion of the economy. But it's completely out of the functional economy. Therefore, you don't see inflation. You're not going to see inflation. Okay? So, what the government says, well, okay, there's a lot of dollars being pumped into savings, okay? And I have to keep printing new dollars in order to make the economy whole as Harry keeps saving. Okay, so why don't I just do this? I got a good idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and I'm going to give an incentive to Harry to give me his money in return for an interest payment in the future. Okay, so Harry agrees and it says, look, the government is going to give me, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4% interest for, oops, let me get rid of that, for those dollars that I'm going to give him that I have in savings. That's just going to grow my savings. So the incentive is good enough where Harry agrees. So then the money goes out of the savings bubble into the government that pumps it back into circulation. The government doesn't have to produce new dollars now, right? It's just recirculating the same savings, okay, back into the functional economy, okay, and then those dollars end up again back in savings, and then it just keeps circulating over and over and over again with any additional new dollars that are required to reflect the size of the economy. So you see, everything makes sense. Everything is fairly valued. Everything is working as it should. Okay? You don't have this deflationary spiral to zero where everybody just has less and less and less pieces of the coin, and somebody comes up with a stupid idea that, well, we'll just subdivide it, and we'll subdivide that and subdivide that. Well, that's the same thing as printing. It's the same thing as producing money out of thin air. It's exactly the same thing. The fact that you're subdividing it instead of multiplying it, it doesn't make any sense. You see, it's the same. The result is the same. Except for the fact that everybody's just going to save whatever portion of the Bitcoin has, and therefore it would never reach a point of subdividing it fast enough or early enough where the economy can function. Okay, there's always going to be some idiot that has to go out and produce more and more and more to acquire a smaller and smaller and smaller piece of that coin. So, everybody else is going to save because it's going to be worth more in the future, and then the result is what? It's just, the whole economy deflates to nothing. It just implodes. It doesn't work. So when you look at the price of Bitcoin, people had to give up their worthless fiat currency, quote unquote, okay, to acquire a single Bitcoin. Okay, and it went from almost zero all the way up to $20,000. So now they have to give up more and more of their hard-earned worthless fiat dollars to acquire one Bitcoin until it reached a point where people were like, fuck it, I'm not, I don't want it. Okay, and price dropped because this value up here is not something that is sustainable. So the free market said, no, this is no good, and everything dropped. Okay, so now what? If you have subdivided Bitcoin to infinity, now what? Now it's worth less and less and less and less. You see, you end up in a fucked up economic state. Now what are you going to do? Reduce the multiply them or add them back up again, or what are you going to do now? You see, it's the same thing as fiat. It's just you think you're being cool and smart and tricky by saying, "Well, I'll just subdivide, man." No, it doesn't work like that. So now let's go look at the dollar index. Okay, back in 2008, 2009, the dollar index was worth 71 in a basket of currencies. Okay, that was the index, and they started to print money, quantitative easing, TARP, whatever you want to come up with, and what happened? The value of the dollar went higher, not lower. It did not collapse. Why did it not collapse? The reason it did not collapse was because the production improved. Okay? Everything went back to normal. The economy grew. And here we are today where the dollar is as high as 1.2, I guess, or something like that. Okay? 1.3. All right? And now it's starting to come down versus a basket of other currencies. That's fine. Because remember, we're always measuring the production not just of the dollar, but of all the other currencies in the world as well. And there's nothing wrong. And it's a ratio between the dollar and the basket of other currencies that matters, not um, uh, the scarcity of the dollar. If production never, kicked into gear, then we would end up like Venezuela. Okay, it's the production that matters. Venezuela is screwed because they were all depending on oil. When oil prices came down, the currency went to shit. Why? Because production came down. They had no other parts of the economy to maintain the value of their currency. So the result is, of course, hyperinflation. Okay, that's the point. You can't just print money for the sake of printing it. You got to produce more chairs. Okay, that's very important to understand. So when you look at the dollar index all the way back to 1986, there's periods where it loses value because the other parts of the world are growing faster. And stand by. Okay, sorry about that. So you have periods where the dollar falls compared to other currencies, and then it rises against other currencies and it comes back down, and this is normal. There's nothing, it's not like, oh, the end of the world is coming, It doesn't work like that. But again, most people, they don't understand economics, they don't understand the monetary system, and to them, they just react to whatever they see, and they start coming up with voodoo shit, like think of the cavemen when they first saw thunderstorms, the thunderstorm is coming around, and they're like, oh shit, the gods are mad, right? They didn't understand it was cumulonimbus clouds that are just, friction and lightning and whatever. Convective activity. They didn't understand that. They thought it was the gods. So one guy comes along and says, you know what? I think the gods are mad at us. I think we've got to sacrifice a villager. Oh yeah, this guy's pretty sinful, So they grab the nearest idiot, grab him, they sacrifice him. Guess what? Oh, thunderstorm goes away. Oh, you see, it worked. Yeah, okay, so let's keep doing it. So every time there was a thunderstorm, they sacrificed some moron. So this is how people are today. They don't understand the monetary system. They think, oh, fiat is horrible. Okay, printing is bad. And, they run around and say, no, we should have Bitcoin. So they all run out and buy Bitcoin. And then what happens? At some point, they're going to lose their ass. Because it's not a currency that is accepted by anybody. Okay? It's not a currency. They think of this utopian, society where everybody's going to become richer just because they own a currency. No one is incentivized for working and producing more to acquire more dollars. Okay, instead they're just holding on to whatever currency portion of the currency is left from that one coin, and saying, "Well, I'll be rich just by not spending it." And then not spending it is, well, I mean, somebody doesn't acquire that Bitcoin, so they cannot consume with it. And if there's no consumption, you cannot have any production. So you're actually, this Bitcoin utopia land is a disaster. It's not functional. It collapses because the name of the game is to produce less and less, okay, and just keep holding on to that currency. Don't consume, and you'll be richer over time. That's a fucked up, way screwed up economic thesis. It doesn't work. Now I can get a lot deeper into this monetary system, but you would have to come down to Patreon so I can explain how the savings bubble is actually hurting the functional economy and why we're not having inflation. Because I'll just give you this much to think about. That if Harry is keep saving more and more, and the government is paying more and more interest to Harry, then everybody else is stuck with no money. Okay, and everybody else ends up working for Harry. Okay, so there has to be a system now in place that incentivizes Harry to pump more dollars into the functional economy. Okay, because printing at some point, if you just keep adding dollars, while there's infinity, you can print to infinity, which is great, but it doesn't give Tom and Dick more access to the savings bubble. Okay, so then you end up with an economy that's inequality is just skyrocketing. So that's a whole other video. It's a whole other subject. Again, if you want to learn more about that, come down to Patreon at patreon.com/mindthisone. Okay, we'll talk about it there. We have videos about it. Buy the national debit. Okay, this will give you the foundation of how to understand modern money, and Bitcoin is not it. No matter how much people want it to believe that Bitcoin is the savior of the world, and anti-evil government. It doesn't work like that. So join us, like us on IMMT and Pure MMT for the 100%. Join us on Patreon for $5 a month, and we can explain everything in greater detail. But again, Bitcoin is not a coin. It's not a currency. It'll never be a currency. The economics do not work. Is Bitcoin going to be around? Yes, just like casinos are around. Is it more of a commodity than it is, a coin? Yes, but again, I have to bring this up. When you look at Bitcoin and you look at all the other little Bitcoiners out there, okay, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Coin, all this stuff, you see there's an inflation of Bitcoins going on, okay? And I'm not saying Bitcoins, I mean all coins, okay? And what is the limit to this? There's no limit. It'll just keep, expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding. And again, this is inflationary, right? Because again, you cannot use these coins to purchase anything. It's just, it dilutes itself, right? Even my friend Teo can create a Bitcoin on his own, okay? Anybody can create a coin. a cryptocurrency, all right, and that's going to be the demise of these cryptocurrencies. They'll be around for sure. They'll be around, and someone will always be the leader and everything like that. But it has nothing to do with. So now instead of having dollars in the world, okay, what are you going to have? You're going to have a bunch of different bitcoins in the world. Is that the way it's going to end up? Where you'll just have I don't know, an inflation in cryptocurrencies. Here, pick your poison. Which one is going up? Which one is going down? And now you're going to have to guess in order to figure out how much of, which currency you should own in order to buy that same chair. It doesn't make sense. It's not functional. Okay. I don't know how to explain that to you. So now where's the value? Now what's going on? You're just inflating the amount of cryptocurrencies available to buy the same chair. Okay? So which one is going to go up tomorrow and which one is going to go down tomorrow? And what is the value now of something based on what? Variables? Oh, well, you have a Ripple, I have a Bitcoin. Oh, your Ripple could buy more chairs than my. So what are you going to do? Exchange one Bitcoin for another Bitcoin? No, there has to be some kind of medium of exchange again, which is what? The dollar. it just doesn't make sense. So anyway, that's it. Thank you. I hope this made some sense. people really need to start learning macroeconomics and the monetary system, because the insanity that is out there is just never ending. So that's it. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.